Good morning, hello! Happy Wednesday, everyone. Although I have to double check. Yes, it is Wednesday. Oh, the same thing every day where I can't remember what day it is. Alright, so I just want to get into it today because it's super fascinating what I learned with the graph. Alright, I forgot. That pauses when I minimize this. It's fascinating. I can maybe move it to the right. Makes it bigger. Minimize all the things. Okay, so I created the flame graph yesterday, although there was a caveat because I tried to get it working on my Linux notebook and I somehow screwed up my entire environment while installing gperf and everything else. I ended up making it so I can't even like launch X11 on a Linux machine using terminal, using my own account, not even like a root account or anything. So I do have to, I don't know, hopefully I don't have to like reset a whole bunch of stuff. If I figure out how to run the stuff in Docker, that would be the best, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna have to figure that out in later. So I just came back down here last night, opened up the VirtualBox Ubuntu image that we had created before, and ran it for about 5 minutes or so. Got like a gigabyte plus of data, and created this flame graph. So here it is. Now, what's really fascinating, Docker is amazing. It is amazing. Getting visual things through Docker is surprisingly hard because I have to like forward like X11 through it or do something weird like that, which of course most game engines are not really happy with. So I would, there's possibilities. I know some people have done it, but then Docker and the OS updates and then all that goes out the window. So I would have to figure that out. Also, good morning, Dota 2 Attitude. Want to make a note. Let's see. Doing laundry. Oh, nice. Maybe 20 minutes left. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Had a note I had to write down. Okay, so I was actually really surprised because what we saw in the Asteroids game was our draw and specifically graphics present was taking up a vast majority of our time. But then I get to here. And okay, so here's all. Unfortunately, like, it's not super easy. Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. I can sort of make it bigger, but it's scrolly. So here's all. Okay, it takes up 100% of the time. Fine. And then we get to exploring like that's the actual game. Unknown, which I don't know what that exactly is. It doesn't really matter. Here's main, so our main function. Run, and then we have the draw function and the update function. And if you take a look here, our update function is huge compared to the draw function. Draw is taking up around 10.5% of the app, and update is taking 68.71%. Now specifically, like create particle is taking a lot. That's not surprising. Like I was kind of expecting creating particle to take a lot here. What was unexpected was that our update, the update color system is taking up a lot of space, like a lot of time. Meanwhile, down here with actually like present being a lot smaller. So getting the color system down like might be helpful, but I'm also not completely sure, and something I didn't check and I forgot how to do it. I'm gonna try something that work. No. Okay, never mind. I don't know how to properly get. Oh, that's like doing weird switching through apps. I don't remember the shortcut to bring up the task manager. I'm gonna really quickly switch over to secret so that I can do this. Bring that up, more details, performance. Oh, this feels different now. GPU, okay. Well, this is cool. Let's open a resources monitor. Oh, this is even better. Okay, let's go back. So we have our resources monitor. Can look at our CPU, but specifically, I guess this isn't really helpful for most stuff. Here in our task manager, there's a performance. So we can look at the GPU, and we can specifically see like what's happening here. So I want to run this with this task manager up. So that's actually here. All right, I want to see what this looks like here. So I'm not seeing much changed. $3D has gone up by around a quarter, maybe? CPU spiked a little bit, but it's not being used very much. So, oh, here it is. Look at this. This is 54%. Is it creeping up a little bit? No. It's like stabilizing too. I guess I'm not. Oh, maybe one. I need to see what the CPU for this specific app is. Okay, so exploring drop performance is across 5 CPUs right now. But I can't tell. I wish I could see if it's on like per CPU. I actually want. How do I? Oh, CPU. Okay, I can look at each of the individual CPUs. Aha. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. Oh, it's on CPU 5. It's using CPU 5. Utsby, good morning. This seems wrong. Okay, I was kind of hoping that it was going to be like, oh, you're using CPU 6. Or 7 or something like that. You're like 100% capacity. But this is... we're using 10 threads. And we're on CPU 5, which is hardly anything. So we're hardly using anything at all here. This doesn't really show me the GPU here. Here we can see the GPU is like, yeah, it's being hit, but it's not being hit like as hard as this, I sort of feel would indicate. We're not using like that much GPU memory. So I guess I don't really understand why the performance is so bad based upon just these things. So there shouldn't be anything that like just slows it down. It should be running as fast as it possibly can. I wonder if like the VSync, KO2 fan, you might be right. I think we can turn VSync off here. Let's try it. Is it there or here? Also, good morning, KO2 fan. I forgot to say that. Utbi, you haven't abandoned looking at the code, by the way. Got caught up with macro changes earlier and got everything working again. Some fair speed ups from the changes I've tried. Ooh, nice. Okay, let's do VSync false. Let's turn VSync off and see what we get. So if I do this, we're getting 5208. Which is about the same, I believe. And we're at 14, so is that worse? I feel like we're getting slightly higher last time. Wait, what happened to my... Did I get rid of my things? I got rid of my things. Hold on, just one... You... So we can see 37% GPU, 7% CPU. About the same for GPU here, and about the same for CPU here. Details wise, I find details is not really that good. It doesn't really give me actual details. Interesting, okay. Open resource monitor, maybe? Right, so here's where we can look at this. Here's our exploring performance. Taking threads, 10 threads. Is this the number of CPU? I don't actually know what this means. There's a bunch of things with one, so I don't know if that means it's all running on CPU 1 or if it's using 5 CPU cores. I don't know. but it's not like too terrible looking. So I guess I'm not completely sure why most of our time is being spent in here. Our update color system. Now, turning off VSync, that might actually change this about make this bigger for our wait, over here for our present. But okay, so if our color update system is off, it does make me wonder, what are ways that I can like get around the color? So currently we're giving a random color, I believe, for everyone, but the alpha is based on like the time that it's lived. Without like reducing. Oh, what's the command to get the flame graph? I will show you. If it's currently Linux right now only. If you go to crates.io, search for flame graph, and it's the first one here. So you have to install some stuff. You have to make sure you don't screw up your local environment like somebody did last night. And then you can just run cargo flame graph. It's going to run behind the scenes a cargo run release, and then it's going to sort of like store that away, which is pretty cool. And then it just like creates this SVG in the folder, which then just shows you all the processes and everything else. I also added in this to our cargo.toml, so that way we got like the debug information for it. So if I wanted to update color system as being the slowest for us, like it's taking the most time in here. And if we take a look at this, what's happening? We're doing a query for these two things. You know, I wonder if it's the delete. Because marking something deleted, well, marking something to be deleted by ID shouldn't be that terrible, but I guess it is. Let's double check. What? So in here, update the color system. Oh, delete by ID is taking the most space. So inside of that, it's the query. Does entity have all components? So it's my bitmap. Your changes speed that area up by 50 times. Okay, I bet that if I were to pull in your changes, I would be really interested to see like what you did. Because this was like a first pass, but we can see right now that does entity have all components is the biggest problem here. And yeah, that's where like then just internal stuff happens. So does entity have all components is a pretty big problem here. Now, so you've got to speed up for that. I would love to see what that is when you eventually have that done. If I were to come back to all, if we looked at present, like if I wanted to try to reduce this down to less than 10%, but also it might help our delete by ID. Would it? Probably not. Well, the deletes probably, I can't get around the deletes unless I just didn't do deletes. But that would balloon everything out by quite a bit. Like just keeping all the memory around. If I, because like we're creating the query and we're updating this. Spish Kairos, hello. It's going well. How are you doing? How's your Tetris and your light gun? Because you're gonna do duck hunt, right? How's that coming along? Okay, so when we create the particle, we create it with a color that has a random red value, but everything else is the same. Okay. Here's what we can do. Instead of deleting, we can repurpose. Great, your Tetris AI got the first recorded 1.4 million score on a real console with RNG manipulation yesterday. Put it in second place for human players, or first place if you ignore the unrecorded run. Oh, nice. Either way, the second best Tetris game ever played. That's really nice. Is there like a because like there's the repository of like human players. Is there one for bots or AIs? That could be cool. Like put it in the competition for that. Oh, you're building one actually. Well, then that's perfect. Then you can be on the top of the list until somebody else builds one. You're playing a competition. Ooh, I would actually love to watch that. Let's see. Okay, so plan. We reuse particles so we don't have to delete them. We create a particle, it flies up, it reaches 0 for the alpha, and then we repurpose its location and reset it. So we update the color system, we subtract its alpha by this amount, and then we don't delete it here. This is just what this system does, which means we don't need this entity ID. We just do this very simple query like that. You're not on the top of the list, not all of them anyway. The other AIs work in emulator mostly, and you can't compete with zero latency reads. Oh. Yeah, I guess like, but there's all those categories, right? Because your category could be on actual hardware. Interesting. Okay, in this case, we don't actually need our index anymore, so we can get rid of this. Which means we don't need to do this entire thing. Okay, so the rest of this should just sort of work as expected. Which means we now need a new system to repurpose. What is it, like Spark system? I don't know what these are called. What am I working on? I'm experimenting with how to like make performance like really good with GGEZ and Rust. We ran into some interesting issues with our Asteroids game that we created, and I want to try to like figure out how I can like level up my knowledge about that. GGEZ is a Rust game engine. It's not mine. I'm just using it. I did create my own ECS library to use with it though. Okay, so repurpose Spark system, come into here. Mod Spark system. All right, so gonna have a pub function, this. We're gonna take in a world, just reference to world. I don't know if we need to do anything else. We're gonna turn a air result. Okay, so what do we need to do here? I need to query for all of our colors essentially, but also all of the locations. And we want to reset the velocity. So pretty much everything, right? We're going to get our query. So if we look at what we need to create these, I don't need to touch the mesh at this point. I just need location, velocities. So I need to reset the location. I need to reset the velocity. The acceleration should already be like being reset every frame. So I don't need that. And I need to reset the color. So location, velocity, and color. So locations, accelerations, colors. This is gonna be our query macro. Passing world, query, location. Did I do this wrong? Oh, world and yeah, okay, that's correct. Location, acceleration, color. Why aren't I getting the type? Because I didn't pull in this type, so it doesn't know what that is. Okay, that gives me all of these things. Perfect. So then we want to loop through them. So for index, location, in locations, iter, enumerate. Okay, so location, have a data wrapper, type point, equals location. We're gonna cast you. Then do the same thing for the other ones. So acceleration, data wrapper of, wait a second, accelerations. Your velocities, the acceleration was the only one I didn't care about. Okay, so your velocity, point equals. So Splish Kairos, one of the things that I would love to do, and I'm very slowly moving my skills towards it, is I want to be able to like build a game like this, and then actually write a bot to play it. I think that would be a lot of fun to do. Point. I'm pretty far off from that though. My skill, I need to level up my skills quite a bit in that area to get there, especially if I want to do it in Rust. The thing is, like, I don't really know enough about what I'm doing to like know even what type of bot I want. Okay, so point, now colors, index, and we're gonna cast you. You want to make the bot in game that's not too hard. Yeah, I could definitely do that. You want to make your bot out of game. Oh, right, because you're like reading all the pixels on the screen and then it makes sense from the pixels, right? Volcanic Popsicle, hello, yes, this is Rust. And then we're also using the GGEZ game engine. Okay, so I have all the locations, all the velocities, and all the colors. So what I want to do is, if our color dot, wait, we have to do this. So if color dot borrow dot Because color at this point in time is RC. Can I do A or alpha? If you're feel like you're not giving me what I need. Because I think it's A for alpha. So if color.borrow.a is less than or equal to 0, yeah, okay, it's not yelling at me here. As in good game easy? Yeah. I don't even know what I need. And well, the other thing is like, I don't know if I know enough to understand what I need. Oh, it means autocomplete. Okay, never mind. Okay. So if we faded our color down to 0, time for us to reset everything. So we want to reset our Kairos was trying to be funny, and then I was like completely not in the frame of mind to actually understand that, but I was trying to anyway. So oops on my part. Sorry. We need a context. If we pull in the context, then at this point, if we're here, now I think what I actually want to do is just to make it so I'm not inside of here. Let's make this more of like a guard. So I'm just going to say if you're greater than 0, then I want to, we can just return no, because this one's not good. We're going to continue. We're done with this one. However, if we get to this point, then it's time for us to now reset everything. So we want to create a new location for ourselves. I don't necessarily want our location to be exactly the same, but we can also just randomize it. So we can just do a location, borrow that mutably, and then have like X. So here we can just do guess we have a mute. Let's have these be wrapped. Wrap location, wrap velocity, wrapped color. So you need to be a wrapped color here. When I do this, it should give me a ref, and then I do a dot in. That should deref automatically. I mean, I could also do that. I don't think it shouldn't be necessary. Now, that being said, I could just do let our color is now going to be equal to a wrapped color dot borrow. I want to borrow you mutably so I can make a change. This is a ref mute point. But I should be able to, oh, you're a color. Okay, so now that makes sense. Now I can say color.a. There we go. That's why my type system wasn't helping me, because I was doing it wrong. All right, so we're going to continue if our alpha is above 0. But if it's not above 0, then it's time for us to grab out. So we can, our location is going to be equal to a wrapped location. We're going to borrow mute. And our velocity is going to be a wrap velocity, borrow mute. Once we have these, time for us to sort of like reset. So we can do color first. Color dot, I don't need to change blue or green. I just need to change red. So color dot red equals, let's create an RNG here too. Then we can do RNG.genRange. I want the range between 0.5 and 1.0 for red. So make it something that's not too dull of a red. And then the alpha, so color.alpha, we're gonna set you to 1.0. Location gets changed. So location.x is now gonna be a random. So because we have this context here, we can also get the drawable size, pass in the context, and this is going to be somewhere, so R&D gen range between 0.0 and width. Sprite games without grids are often more challenging to make AIs for. Making a chess bot is much easier than making a Mario bot in terms of the coding required anyway. Okay, interesting. That's good to know. Yeah, I was thinking about like making little arcade games and then having a bot play it. Like Asteroids, for example. So I'm assuming that would be hard because it's not grid-based. Turn-based Asteroids. It's gonna be the new thing. Turn-based, grid-based Asteroids. It could be a CRPG. Asteroids is involved to make an AI. Okay, so maybe a little bit less. Maybe we can go there later. Okay, so location X that, location.Y. Turn-based, grid-based Asteroid sounds legit cool. If I could figure out, if anybody has a suggestion of how to make it actually fun, I would be happy to try to make that. You think you played something? Send me the name. I'd love to check it out. Like I'm having trouble like imagining what that would actually be like and be fun. Space Empires. I am going to write that down. Check out Space Empires game. Okay. Location Y. So we want this to be the height plus like 5. Okay, so that resets its width location and it resets it down there. So that's our color, that's our location, and then velocity. Velocity should be our easiest. We can just say velocity multiply scalar 0.0. Reset for us. What are you upset about? Cannot borrow. Okay, so all of you need to be mutable. Mutable there. Okay, so you're just yelling at me because we're not actually doing the thing. So let's come down here into update. Now, after we do this, we update the color system. And then we're gonna repurpose the Spark system, pass in a reference to self.world and the context, unwrap you, and there we go. So, oh, you're heading off our walk. Well, thank you so much for the information and chatting. Have a good walk. Have I ever played Race on Grid Paper as a kid? Maybe. Like I played like not Snake, but like the Tron. Like we tried like little Tron type things, but it wasn't like turn based. It was always like just who draws the fastest. Okay, so we were getting 13.8 frames per second. So if I run this again now with these big changes. This doesn't necessarily feel... Do we have more of these? Oh, wow. We have... So we had 5,208 before. Now we have 36,918. And you're right. You're right. I am totally still adding them per frame. We need to stop this. What's happening to my system? 17 threads now. Oh, we peaked our GPU. This still hasn't even quit yet. I mean, other applications are working just fine still, so that's good. It's like you take turns moving in the grid paper. You take your last movement and draw a line that goes the same length. Oh, so no, we never played that as a kid. We just like did speed, like, okay, so we need to not add every single frame because that, yeah, every single frame we're creating 42 particles, which is ballooning out like really fast. The asteroid thing could be similar. Yeah, I could see that. Okay, I want to do this slightly differently. I'm thinking what we can do is we can check our average frame. So, okay, let's do this. Let's also not do this in our while loop because this could happen multiple times. So if timer FPS, if that is greater than, let's say we're going for 60 frames per second. Oh, if total is less than limit, check. We'd have to, you're right, that's a good idea. Let's actually, because I don't have a good, we're doing like a query to find out what's in here. But we could easily just have a little thing here, which is I guess like the number of sparks. So sparks created. You're gonna be a U32. Okay, so we're gonna create that. We can put this back in here again then. Don't need to do you. Okay, so if self.sparks created is less than, what was it? It was like 3208. 3208. Then I'm not going to create a new one like 42 every frame. We're just going to add a new one. So as long as we're less than this number, then add more particles. And then I don't need to do this to find out how many we have. Oh, you know what we need to do though? We kind of need to increment. So if that is, then self.sparks created plus equals to 1. Oh, was it 5208? You might be right. 5208. Then here, I don't need a query. I don't need to do all this stuff. We can see what our FPS is, and we can also debug self.sparks created. So we can see how many of these we've actually made. So if we run this, over time, we're going to get many, 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 many more of these. $12.03, still above 100 frames per second. Still looking really good. Okay, we're slowing down a little bit. We're under 60 frames per second now. We're approaching our maximum number, and we're above 30 frames per second. There it is, 5208. And we're okay, we're solid at 34 frames per second. So we've more than doubled our performance by repurposing all of these little sparkies. Now it's not perfect. Like frames per second, like 60 would probably be best if we were targeting for that. But 30 is not terrible for what I'm doing. I am curious if we can make it better though. So currently, we have a mesh for every single one of these sparks, and then we're drawing that mesh and sending it over where it needs to be. Also, I'm also curious. It's not too terribly. Look at this. Our GPU is pinned at 99%. So now our big problem is GPU, whereas before it was CPU that was bounding us. So now we want to reduce our GPU usage. That's actually pretty cool to see. Okay, so if I want to reduce our GPU usage, let's have less individual draw calls. So that's going to be a single, like in our draw system here. I want to create just a single mesh. So if it's the GPU having trouble, I don't want to like create a single mesh and then just like draw that everywhere. I don't think that's helpful. We can experiment with it though. So in our main library, what if I were to create, so let spark mesh equals mesh builder, new, gonna make a circle. What? Do I already have a draw mode? Oh, I do. Draw mode fill. Point is gonna be 0. Radius is 0. 1. Color your white. Okay, so if I do this, that gives us a spark mesh. And now I want to do a world dot add resource. This is going to be mesh. And we're going to add in our spark mesh. Okay, so now we can unread. So I don't think it matters in our. I'm just going to like leave the mesh sitting there. It's not doing anything but taking up memory and like a little tiny bit of CPU when it like creates the mesh, but I don't think it's like that big of a deal. And we're repurposing not touching it there. So I'm not going to worry about it. In our draw though, in our draw system, we're doing a query for the mesh and the locations. So let's say I don't do the query for the mesh anymore here. I just do the query for the colors and the locations. Okay, that gives us here in, of course, I did on the one thing that I didn't need to. So we can do locations, location, kind of grab mesh out of here, location, grab you out, color gets in the same way, context. Okay, so we need to grab the mesh out here. So we can do that here. So let's mesh equals what do I have a get resource? I forgot what my I don't think that I created a get resource macro, did I? Builds space. So in components, resource helpers, we do have a get resource macro rules. Okay, so we can use that. So get resource. I don't need it to be mutable. Okay, so how does this work? Get resource. Okay, simple. So the way it works is this. We do mesh equals that, then we do mesh, world, and mesh is what we're grabbing. We need to bring in resource cast. Can you figure that out? No? Okay, so use CS resources, resource cast. There we go. Now what? Type annotation needed for T. Right, I need to say that what this is. So you are a reference to a mesh. Okay, so we now have our mesh here. So I can just have this be a mesh. So if I don't do anything else, we are now reusing the same mesh over and over and over again. So I'm curious if we're gonna get above what was that 30 something frames per second. 31.1. It feels like it's going down in frames per second, very similar in the rate. So I don't think this is doing anything for the performance. Like we're already below 60 frames. And if we go back and like look at where we were before, we dropped below 60 frames. We're at the 3000 mark, and that's around the same here. And here we are at 52.8, we got 34, and here we're at 52.8. Okay, we gave ourselves 3 frames. 3 frames per second. So it is a performance boost. It's just not that good of a performance boost. So the next idea here, though, is what if every single frame, like we still have this resource mesh. What if every single frame we were creating a new mesh of every single element on the screen, and it's one draw call? So what would that end up looking like? Here, instead of this entire for loop, we would replace this. We would not need these locations. We would not need to query. We would just get our mesh from the resource, and then we would do a graphics, draw, pass it the mesh, and then draw params, and this would be it. Like, this is all we would need to do in the draw system here. But we would need a new system here for update meshes, system. Okay, what are we going to need? We're going to need our world. Need a context. Just have the draw system build the group mesh from the individual locations and colors. Yeah, I guess like that's a good question. I was thinking that the update should create the mesh. This is maybe like a more architectural question for game engines. Should the draw loop only be concerned with displaying and update is everything else, or should draw also create the mesh and display it? Because in that case, yeah, we could just come into draw system here. I can undo a bunch of what we did to get the query. Dota, hello. Anyone else losing the refactor battle in their code? I haven't done too much refactoring recently, so I guess this is a little bit of refactoring. So I think I've been fine, but I haven't been fighting too much. The bigger the code base, the messier the over. Yes, that's very true. Yeah, okay, we could do that here. Let's try it here. So I don't need to do this at all. Let's save. I'm just gonna undo until we have our query back. It's up to you how you want to segment your systems. It would just be much closer to what you had to keep the draw system loop. That's true. That's very true. One thing you've been suggesting to try is push some feature, then clean up for an hour. Don't skip the second part. Yes, that's actually a big part of agile development that a lot of people don't pay attention to, is that pushing code does not mean you're done. Just means the feature is ready to do the next part for. That's pretty much it. Okay, so we have our locations, we have our colors. I don't think we need anything else. We don't need our mesh out of here. So we're going to not even do this. We're gonna just create the mesh here. Unless it's after 3 p.m. on a Friday, because then you're done. That's like the worst time to push to production too. Is like, okay, unrefactored, like uncleaned up code, YOLO, I want to go home. And then nobody goes home. Okay, so if I want to create a mesh, we're gonna do mute. We're gonna have a mesh builder. Mesh builder view. If you're creating a feature, you are by definition, you are junking the thing up. So you need to go over in a separate mindset and clean things. Yes, it can be very helpful. Pair coding can help a little bit there. Because like you have somebody else who's watching you and cleanup happens a little bit more often while you're doing the thing. But not a lot of people want to or have the patience to pair code like that. Oh, solo project? Yeah, everything changes in solo projects. Okay. So what I want to do here is in our for loop, our graphics is now going to be outside the for loop, out in here. In here, however, we're going to build this mesh up. So at the very end, we're going to do let mesh equals the mesh builder. We're going to build you context question mark you, and then that will be a reference to this mesh. And we're also not going to need to do anything special with these drop params. It'll just be new like this. So that should be fine there. In here now, what we need to do is update. So for each of our locations and our colors, we're going to do a mesh builder dot circle draw mode fill. We're going to give it a point of the location. So location dot borrow dot to array. Radius is going to be 5.0. Tolerance 0.1. And then color, that's going to be a dereferenced color.borrow. And that should now add a circle to our meshes for every single one here. So if I do that, and we run this again, we have one draw for every single one of these. Now this is starting off at a nice 1644. I'm really curious, what did we start off before? That's close to doubling on the first pass through. So hopefully we're good. Now that's very few things in the world as well. So let's let it run for a little bit. I think anyone who has mobbed a lot or paired a lot is likely significantly more detailed conscientious. I think even if you're working solo, cleaning it up for a commit is good because the git diff shows what you've been messing with. Yeah, that can be very good. Chantilly, hello. I would commit and clean up since your code, you clean up may mess up your code. So to properly clean up, you need tests to like know that you've cleaned up without breaking anything. So it really helps. Okay, cleanup time. What? So these look like bot accounts. Okay. Are these highly effective spam? Very much so. I need to deny this. Hold on. Put it on follow mode. Yeah, I'll do that. Just give me a second. Where's follow mode? Followers only is Okay. Sorry about that. Followers only mode is on. Oh, look at this. We're at 104 frames per second with the same number of particles. So that come on in here. Creating the this thing works really well. So okay, I need to in the meantime head over to you. Spam protection. Blacklist. We're going to blacklist. Nope. Don't blacklist. Update meshes system. Gonna blacklist that entire thing. Uh-oh. All the bots are trying to follow me. I put in a 10-minute timer, so I have 10 minutes to figure this out. Before then, I'll go to subscribe mode, or emote mode. Do blacklist you. Let's try that. Yeah, I'm definitely getting botted. Also, it's nice for them to follow me so I could just... There's a lot of follows. It's a lot of bots. I was gonna say, I can just ban them all. How many did they create? This is like 100 bots. Well, it's not fun. I thought I did. How do I change that? I guess I didn't have that set to that. Happy phone with a pet the cat. Zilby is not here right now, so I can't pet the cat. I think I'm gonna have to find, let's see. Send your channel to verified emails only in chat. Well, okay. How do I? Where is that? I'm looking in like the moderator stuff, and I can't find that. Not see it in here. Yes, I will refund you. Settings, channel moderation, channel. Oh, I have to like. It's not in the little thing. It would have to be moderation. Permitted. Email Huh. Channel. It's already set on. Anyone that would like to send a message in your chat room must first verify their email address. That's checked. I don't know why it was not caring about that before then. That's strange. Also, I just lost all of my chat because apparently I went away from that. So that means they verified their bot? That seems strange. All right, so let's review what we did. Because our 10 minutes is coming up and then all the bots are gonna be able to send messages again. So I'm probably gonna... Yeah, that means it's a person that somehow like has verified bots. So that's fun. All right, what did we do? We switched over to a single draw. We create a mesh every single frame with all of the things in it, and then we send them out with like a single draw. And that we're going to get way, 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 way better performance with a single draw than we get if we do like many, many, many draws, even if it's like the same mesh. So good to know for future games or simulations that we do is we can get tons of things on the screen if we do that. I am coming up on those 10 minutes before the bots are allowed to chat. So I think what I'm going to do is shut the stream down now, and I'm going to have to figure out how to ban all of these bots. Don't shut down. Well, it's coming up to my normal shutdown time anyways, of like 8:15. So it's sort of like one of those like, yeah, what do I do in this? Just outright ban the accounts? Yeah, that's what I want to do. Let's see, where's Chantilly can ban the accounts? I don't know if Chantilly has time. Chantilly often is working at this time. I wish that in my activity feed I could ban, but I can't, which seems unhelpful. Oh, man, I can't see them in my chat request. But all right. Let's see. What else do we do here? So the idea, let's see. What's the next thing we can do here? We could. So I'm going to run this later tonight. I want to make a quick edit to this before I go and end. Instead of this, I want to do like a timer check. So if timer FPS in the context, if this is less than 60, so every 200 frames, every 200 frames. Oh, that's a good idea. Users in chat. Oh yeah, I don't see them in chat at all. So. Oh, I could do the band name too. Okay, that could help. Maybe I'll just like copy paste and like do a mass ban later, after like tonight. Okay, so if this is less than 60, no, greater than 60. So if we're working at greater than 60, they don't usually stick around. I guess that makes sense. If we're greater than 61, no, greater than 60, that will be 61 or more. Then we're going to create a particle and increase the sparks count it created. Their MO is to spam as many channels as possible before Twitch bans them. Interesting. Okay. That's good to know. Also, this is the first time I've been botted, so I guess is that good? I don't know. See. Then every 200 frames, I feel like we can also just do this here. Let FPS equals to timer, FPS, context. Okay, so then you can place both of you with FPS. Oh, you're an F64. I did not realize that. Okay, so if you're greater than 60.0, then we want to create a particle, increase the number of sparks that we've created, and then debug out what the FPS is, and then debug out what the sparks created is. The spanning body sounds fun though as the creator of them. It's an interesting challenge. It's an interesting challenge to do like those type of attacks. Spam bots are trivial. Probably making like them not be caught is where it gets hard. Let's see. Okay, so I don't need you here. So here we're gonna go. Every single frame, we're gonna wait 200 frames. If our FPS across, and the FPS is always an average of, the FPS is an average across the last 200 frames. So this needs to be, okay, if timer frames, ticks, context, and okay, so if it's been, kind of want to do this twice, don't I? Hold on. If it's a 200 frames, if it's been 200 frames, then get the FPS. Then we can do if FPS is greater than 60.0. We're going to create a spark, and then regardless of that, print out the FPS and print out our sparks created. So when I run this in release mode, spamming people don't care about that. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Trying to build a mesh with less than 3 vertices because I don't have anything in here. That's what's happening. So create a mesh builder new. So this only happens locations, just because let should draw. I don't like this. Oh, right, because if we have this is set, so we just want to quit early if like locations dot length is less than 1. So if you're equal to 0, then return early. Okay, so here it's gonna take a long time for it to build up, but now I should be able to like let this run for a really long time, come back to it, and I'll find out exactly how many of these draws that I can get onto the screen at the same time before I drop below 60 frames per second. So I can leave this running just sort of like, you know, all day today, and I'll come back to it in like an hour or so and just see what it is. I'll as soon as that happens, I'll put like a note into Discord or something like that. All right, that is, I think that's perfect. So with that, it is 8:20. Now it is my normal sort of like shutdown time. So thank you everybody for stopping by. Sorry about the sort of like the bot spamming thing happening behind the scenes. I am, let's see, I don't know if I need to do anything more with the exploring side. The other thing I was thinking about doing was learning a little bit of what is it called, shaders type stuff, and like potentially using them to try to increase performance even more. But I have no idea about anything about shaders. So I may or may not do that. I might also just move on to like the next game. So I'll think about that. And tomorrow, we'll explore more. Anyways, with that, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.